My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. And welcome once again to Joe Knows South Lake. I am Joe Carlisle, and I am joined today by my dear friend Michael Singh. How you doing, man?
Doing good, and yourself?
Good. I'm awake. It's another wonderful South Lake morning. It's Wednesday. Let's see. What are we going to talk about today? Today we are going to talk about having a bad hair day. We're going to talk about root and branch in our second episode of South Lake Bites. We are going to do a little bit of Cup of Joe, and then finally we're going to talk to Mike about some insurance issues, some things you probably want to be checking out first of the year. He's going to go into all of that when we have the interview at the end of the show. So we're going to hear from our sponsors, of which Mike. That's the other thing I want to say. You know, Mike is a friend of the show and a station sponsor. And I just really want to say, now that I got you in front of me, thank you, man.
No
I
problem.
really appreciate it. You get what we're trying to do here. Mm-hmm. And without you and the others in our family of sponsors, it just wouldn't happen. We really appreciate it. So we're going to hear from the sponsors, and when we get back, we'll get started. Don't go away.
Hello, my name is Michael Singh with Singh Insurance and Financial Services. Our goal is to build trust based on a clear understanding of how your insurance policy protects you, your family, and even your business. When was the last time you took a good hard look at your insurance coverage? Would you be open to the possibility of reviewing your policy with me? One review of your policy can save you valuable time and money. Call me today to set up a review of what may be available to you.
Hello, I'm Mary Rhodes with the mortgage firm, your local mortgage lender. I've helped thousands of families achieve the dream of homeownership in Lake County, and I would love to help you. Please read our reviews and visit us at mortgagefirmpros.com.
And welcome back. Always so good to hear from our family of sponsors. Once again, we're joined by Michael Singh to help us out today. And because Mike has been on the show before, you just joined an exclusive club, man.
Yeah.
You're two-timer now.
Yeah.
We got a few guests who have been two-timers for us. We're glad to have you. You know, it's actually National Bubble Bath Day. Mm-hmm. Did you know that? But we're not going to talk about that because Joe's having a bad hair day. Now, a lot of people, do you ever have a bad hair day, man? You look like you're always like in perfect place.
No, all the time.
All the time?
Yeah.
All the time? You couldn't tell. See, you could tell when I'm having a bad hair day, it means it's time for Joe to get a haircut. Okay, I'm feeling the shag. I knew I was getting shaggy last week, but wasn't feeling well, so never got off to get the haircut. So I think it's time I have to prioritize that this week because I'm feeling warm all the time. There's too much up here, not letting all this hotness escape. You know, Miss Pat would agree. It's getting shaggy. Time to go. All right. Do you guys have a bad hair day? Look, the best way to overcome a bad hair day is just to take a deep breath. It's only hair. It's not that important. It doesn't change the people who love you. It doesn't change the wonderful things that you do or the greatness that's inside you. Take a chill pill. It's only hair. I'm going to get all mine cut off so I don't have those bad hair days. Next, we are going to have, bringing you the second episode. We're really excited. The second episode of South Lake Bites. We went out to Root and Branch Bistro to see what they do out there. And I think Jay's going to bring that up. Hey everybody, Joe Carlisle from Joe Knows South Lake. This is South Lake Bites. here on South Lake Bites, we feature one of the most important types of businesses we have in South Lake County, and that is restaurants. Small local places run by people passionate about food who love the people in the community that they serve. You know, as a full-time realtor and as an ambassador, I get asked all the time, where's a good restaurant for me to have a date in, Joe? Where's a nice place for me to go have a nice quiet dinner? Well, we are out here at the corner in Oakley Plaza at the corner of Oakley Seaver Drive and Highway 50 at Root and Branch, a great little place run by a husband and wife team. Let's go in and meet the chef. How you doing, AJ?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
Good. Folks, this is AJ Kraft. He is the owner and head chef here at Root and Branch. He and his wife Dana own this restaurant, and we're going to find out all about it. Let me ask, what is your background as a chef? I mean, where did you come from?
Well, I'm Florida born and raised. Not many of us left, but I've been cooking for about 20 years. It's a passion. It's a love. I've been doing it since I was 15. So it's just something that I do.
What did you do before this?
Before this, I was cooking. I was working in a restaurant in Dr. Phillips area and Winter Park. I come from that area in general. I was at Blue on the Avenue, Slate, Big Fin Seafood Kitchen. So a lot of nice high-end restaurants in the area.
That's some good cred.
Yeah, I think so.
Why Claremont?
Well, it's my home. I think it was time for Claremont to get something a little nicer than all the chain restaurants we normally have. So I wanted to bring a little bit of, class and style to Claremont and give the people what they want.
One of the reasons we do South Lake Bites is because we have so many independent restaurant owners like yourself, food service providers, and by food service I don't mean, cafeteria. It's guys who are passionate about food, love people, love their community. So we want to put a spotlight on that. Let me ask you something else. How's it been? How long have you been here?
Well, we've been here a little over a year. We opened October 15th of 2018. And it's been a slow start. We're in a great location and a bad location at the same time. It's hard for people to see us from the road. But the people that know we're here love us.
So let me ask you something. Now, a lot of people don't understand what the word bistro means. Can you tell us what you specialize in?
Sure. We use the name bistro because we don't like to think of ourselves as a full-blown restaurant. A bistro is more neighborhood, more fun. You don't have to dress up to come here. It's more of a relaxed environment.
So would you call yourself casual upscale?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Definitely casual
Great.
upscale.
Well, show us around the place.
Sure, I'd love to. So this is our main dining room.
Okay.
We seat about 94, including the bar.
Wow.
Beer and wine only at our bar. Great seats at the bar. And then if you go this way, you'll see the engine room, our kitchen.
We're going to be back there in a second.
Yes, we will.
Chef, tell us about your bar.
So our bar is great. We have a boutique selection of wines, a couple of nice cabs, just your small selections, nothing too crazy, stuff by the bottle, stuff by the glass, nothing that'll break your arm and your leg. And we also have a selection of craft cocktails and beers.
And those craft cocktails are made with the beers and
with
the
the
wines,
beers and the
correct?
wines, yes.
Great,
yeah,
great.
Unfortunately, don't have our spirits yet, but we're working on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it seems like it's time you show us where the magic is made.
I think so. Right this way.
Well, Chef, it's great to be in your space. This space is actually really kind of cool. Did you design this?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there was equipment here when I leased the space, but I redesigned it as best I could to kind of suit what I needed for a fast-paced environment.
So hoping the flow is a little better and fits your customers' business better.
A lot of dancing room.
I call this the Restaurant Ballet. I love watching a team of chefs working in a kitchen. Just because when they know what they're doing,
yes,
it can
when
be
they know
beautiful.
what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful dance. So what are you cooking for us?
I'm making you our seasonal carbonara. It's a fall-inspired Italian dish.
I love carbonara.
Yeah.
Go to it, man.
All right, you got it. So we're going to start with a saute pan, nice 10-inch, a little bit of canola oil, and a little bit of butter. We're going to let that heat up.
You know, so many people don't appreciate the mix of oil and butter.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I mean,
the richness it provides.
we're in fall. A nice little bit of butter in there really adds that fattiness that people love.
Yeah, it's winter. Nobody needs to eat light, right?
Exactly. So let's see. Cream. We just need to get this to heat up. I've got my poaching water in the back. This dish comes with a poached egg, which is really nice.
Traditional carbonara.
Traditional carbonara's got egg in it. We got egg in this one. So I'm gonna add some shallot. I want to get a little bit of color on the shallot. Not a lot, just a little. There we go. We're starting to get that onion flavor, and we're going to add some roasted butternut squash, and then we're going to add some of this tasso ham that we smoke and cure in house.
Chef, tell me a little bit about that ham while you cook here.
No problem.
You smoke and cook that yourselves. Huh?
Yeah. So we buy pork loin, and we cure it in our walk-in for overnight, and then we bring it out here and set up a small smoker, and we smoke it with a nice little smoked paprika rub on it, and smoke it for about an hour and a half. Let it chill out in the cooler, and it's ready to use.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can really smell the smoke.
Oh.
From there, we're going to add some sage, and once you add the sage, you can really smell that seasonal flavor coming through.
You know what's really cool is you guys can't smell it, but the depth that comes from the aromatics in the aroma. I'm already drooling for this dish.
So from here, we're going to add a little bit of heavy cream. And we're going to add our pasta.
Now, what kind of pasta are you using?
We use bucatini. I like bucatini because it's a little more interesting than spaghetti, and it has that nice hollow center.
Yeah.
So it gives that nice chew.
You get a little more bite to it. Yep.
Exactly. We add some pecorino cheese. I like pecorino instead of Parmesan. I think it has a little bit more funk to it.
You making that too? You know,
No,
you
we don't
like
make
a
the
farm out
pecorino.
back, no?
We do source a lot of our ingredients from local farms.
Oh, good.
But not our cheeses, unfortunately. Not a lot of local cheese farms in Claremont.
No, there are, even in the state, there's not a lot of cheese farms.
No. Although we do have our own dairy farms out here in Orlando.
Yes, yes.
So that's all of that. Waiting for that to thicken up just a little bit.
And a lot of people very unaware that Florida is the second largest producer of cattle in the country.
Yes.
And like the fourth largest producer of dairy.
That's true. T.G. Lee is right here out of Florida.
Uh-huh.
In our milk district.
Why we call it the milk district.
Exactly. There's our poached
There's
egg.
that.
All right, and then we're going to add a little bit of whipped eggs to finish off that traditional carbonara style.
You know,
Really-
so many people cut the egg out of carbonara. It's such a mistake.
know.
Because
Cheating.
that richness is where it comes, is what makes carbonara carbonara.
Exactly. And we got to stir this just right so it thickens up and doesn't turn into omelet and pasta, which we're about there.
Notice there ain't no peas.
There are no peas, not in this one.
Who gets to lick the pan, chef?
Poached egg right on top. Finished with more pecorino cheese and a little bit of black pepper. And that's our dish. And there you go, Joe.
Oh my gosh.
That's for you.
You know, I
Give
can't
that a try.
tell you, AJ, how much I appreciate this. You know, this kind of cooking is just, it's more than talent, it's more than skill, it is passion. It's a serious love for what you do and a love for your customers.
Well, thank you so much.
You know, it's, I just can't wait. Carbonara is such a cool dish because you can make those, you know, it's still carbonara and you're substituting, you know, it doesn't have peas, it has the squash.
Yeah.
Here we go. Creamy, and you know what? Here, let me get some of that yolk in there. Can't miss that. This is Joe's excuse to take a second bite. gosh. Hang on. Joe the Slob. That's how you know somebody who really enjoys the dish. You know, Chef, I really, really appreciate this. Look, I want to encourage everybody. If you have not come down here and tried this, you are seriously missing out. This is a 5-star Michelin-style restaurant. You have a chef here that's just as good as anything you're going to see on the Food Network or the Cooking Channel. We have these people here in South Lake County. Chef AJ is one of them. Come down here, say hi to him and his wife, to Kyle, the GM. Enjoy a glass of wine, enjoy a craft beer, enjoy one of their craft cocktails, and order some of their amazing dishes. This has been Joe with Joe Knows South Lake. This has been South Lake Bites, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Well, I love South Lake Bites. Can you tell I love to eat? I don't think I ever met a restaurant I didn't really like on some level. No, that's not true. I met a lot of restaurants I didn't like on any level. This is why I really like South Lake Bites. You know, Chef AJ and his wife are doing a great job out there. And I got to tell you, it's hard to tell from the screen. That portion was huge. I took those leftovers home and made 2 meals out of it. So managed not to have it as a midnight snack, but only because Miss Pat shut me down. So Chef AJ, thank you very much. We really appreciate you. And I know that my wife and I will be out there soon, and I'm pretty sure Jay and his wife will be out there sometime soon too. And look, if you're looking, he does all sorts of things, and as a small business person, he's willing to work with you. If you've got a corporate event you need done, if you've got a business meeting, he'll work with you to put something together so it works for you. I know we've had a couple of chamber functions out there, and I've really, really appreciated the staff, the atmosphere, the service, all magnificent. All right, Cup of Joe. Look, I was going to talk about goals, but I'm going to shift that off tomorrow because I know a lot of people that are having a hard time ramping up. Kind of a weird week, right, Mike? Are you having a hard time ramping up?
Yeah, it's been a weird week.
It's hard to get your mind into the right space. I have a couple of dear friends that I'm in business with, and they're all in the same spot, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. You know, we talked about giving yourself a little bit of time in between each task so that you have, because it's counterintuitive, right? You want to put everything on your plate because you want to get ramped up. It's a wrong move. Another thing that you can do to get ramped up, because let's face it, now you're back to work. You've been down for a week, 2 weeks. Maybe you were really lucky you had 3 weeks vacation. It's time to get back to work, and then everything seems tedious. It seems like, I was talking to Jay this morning, it seems like we lost a lot of momentum. So how do we build that momentum again? How do we do those tedious things? Because it sure seems like they're not bringing a lot of fruit. Well, you've all heard me talk about a gratitude list, which is always valuable to get you out of bed in the morning and give you some perspective. I want you today to take a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and write down a fruit list. Now, for me, a fruit list is that thing that's going to happen eventually. What are your dreams for the tasks you're engaged in? I was just talking to Mike about some of my dreams for South Lake Bites and why we're still plugging at it. It's not necessarily easy yet, but it is good, and it's I know that it's valuable. And so that I can think down the road to that day where people call us and the restaurants that we cover double their business in the month after we air their episode. You need a list like that. Okay, what are you going to do? What is going to be the effect of your efforts today if you do those tedious tasks? They may not come through as quick as you want, but if you have that list to check, when your mind gets into that what's the point mode, then you can at least have an idea and get the perspective that someday this is the purpose. You're paying the price for the value you're going to reap, the harvest you're going to reap down the road. You call it a fruit list or a harvest list. That's my suggestion for today for Cup of Joe. That should bring your brain right where it needs to be to find the joy back in your work. All right, we're going to talk about more of this later this week. For now, we're going to hear from our family of sponsors again, and when we get back, we're going to to talk with Mike about insurance and some of the needs that you have.
Your CBD store Claremont provides a wide range of high-quality, full and broad-spectrum CBD products. Topical creams, tinctures, water solubles, edibles, and even CBD products for your pets. From soil to oil, your CBD store Claremont sources and provides third-party lab tests for all products so that you know exactly what you're getting. Stop by your CBD store Claremont today to speak with one of our knowledgeable staff members to find the right CBD product for you.
50 West, pre-leasing now in Claremont. A first-of-its-kind commercial development in the Southeast. Contact us today to reserve your spot in this historic development. 50 West, unique, quality, Class A. For more information on leasing, contact Ashley Punn at 407-403-4165. Karen Arlano at 407-948-0767. Or visit lease@50west.com.
Burgerum, located in the Epic Theater Shopping Plaza on Highway 27, is the premier destination for gourmet burgers. Using only the freshest ingredients, Burgerum offers a variety of burgers, salads, wings, and a whole lot more. Beef, chicken, lamb, fish, and even veggie. Burgerum has something for everyone, no matter your dietary preference. Burgerum, millions of possibilities, endless combinations.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. And welcome back. You know, once again, always good to hear from our family of sponsors. We have one of them with us, the owner of Singh Insurance and Financial Services, businessman extraordinaire, Michael Singh. Once again, man, it's good to have you on the show. How you feeling today, man?
Feeling great. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah.
You know, we were just talking about getting ramped up, and obviously you're here, so you're somewhat ramped up already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, we talked about a couple of things before the show, and I got to check my notes to make sure I don't deviate because, you know, I am awful for rabbit trails. You know, this is kind of the beginning of the year. It's kind of a time that we look at things. You and I were just talking about writing down who we want to be. And, you know, I talked yesterday at the Cup of Joe about when you set a goal, the purpose maybe shouldn't be the goal, but who you become in the goal. And I think when we look at our lives that remembering our insurance needs, right? You want to cover your family. Why do we do all of this? You know, I mean, do I really want a bunch of money in the bank? Yes. But why do I want a bunch of money in the bank? You know, so that I can take care of my grandchildren, so I can leave a legacy to my children, so I can provide a lifestyle to my wife that she's never had, so I can be generous at my church, you know, make an endowment someday. Too often, I think people miss that. They put their life on set it and forget it, and that includes your services. Tell us why people shouldn't do that. Why is it necessary to review your policies in your situation every year?
Yeah, I mean, depends on what product we're talking about. But if you're talking about home insurance or auto insurance or even life insurance, things change, circumstances change. The companies may also change. You know, we were talking about before, you know, why should I look at my policy a year and a half into it? You know, it's just some things that you just want to review. You know, companies may take premium increases due to certain conditions in the market. It's always good to always review those things, keep on top of it, because sometimes you can get a better price just by simply shopping it through different carriers versus just keeping what you have and kind of set it and forget it, kind of like some of the things that you're talking about. It's not a bad idea just to get quotes, just to kind of see where you stand and kind of what you can do better or improve on.
You know, I know that there's a lot of movement in every industry, and sometimes insurance companies absorb other insurance companies. So if you got your policy 4 years ago you know, when you were fresh out of college, you know, and you wanted to make sure mom was taken care of, or your dog was taken care of, or whatever, it might not be the same company that you bought it from. It might be somebody completely different. That might not be a good thing, right?
It could be a good or bad thing, depending on what it is. Generally speaking, you have the bigger companies that are buying up the smaller companies, and when that happens, that you know, there's more capital there. So sometimes you'll see that in the situation that you talked about, that the rates may stay stagnant or even get better, or the company may offer some more benefits there, but there's no way to really tap into it unless you kind of make the phone call, say, hey, you know, can we review what I have with your company, or to take it somewhere else. So it depends on what the merger is, and it could be a good or bad thing. Generally speaking, it's a better thing because the company now has more capital when it's being bought over by a bigger company.
You know, I think a lot of times people miss the idea of life events. You know, I mean, the big ones seem almost obvious, right? I mean, I had a baby, I got married, but even then, a large percentage of people don't think about that because they don't want to think about it, you know? I mean, I just got married, it's all lovey-dovey, we just got back from our honeymoon, who wants to face the fact that I might die or you might die, you know? So they don't look at those things, you know? But there are other life events that people sometimes don't examine. How's about you got a raise? Or, you know, you are making 3 times what you made 5 years ago because you worked really hard. You know, how would you suggest? Do you suggest people do their own review? Should they do their review with a professional? What kind of things should give them? You know, the balloon should go up and say, hey, I need to call Mike.
Yeah. So if we're talking, it depends again what product we're talking about. So if we're talking about life insurance, because other things that you're talking about creates a life event. You know, if you're purchasing a new home, or if you had a new baby, or if you're newly getting married, those are kind of indicators that should say, hey, let's take a look at our life insurance. You know, so a lot of these people will have life insurance through their jobs, which is great because they'll offer you a great price, but it's only for a certain period of time, and generally speaking, you can't take it with you. So it's a good idea at that point to say, hey, what is our situation? Is there a policy that we can get on the outside that'll, you know, still be relatively inexpensive, and it will serve a greater need just in case I switch jobs? Or
do you know, that's a cool
else.
Concept, because I was reading recently that the average millennial will change industries 5 times and employers 7 times. And outside of that 7 times may work for themselves 2 or 3 times. And so that's a good point. Don't just rely on your work policy. You know, you probably need something that you own, that you control. What are some of the smaller events that I should examine my policy? And I'll give you an example. I think, you know, pay increase, but, you know, maybe mom's getting sick. You know, should I be looking at my stuff to change? I mean, this is the kind of thing that I talk to people about real estate. You know, should you be moving up to a bigger house? You know, are you going to have to bring in your parents? What are some of the small? I mean, marriage, babies, and a big increase in pay, a change in job seems to be an obvious, right? What are some of the smaller things that should set off an alarm?
You know, like what you just talked about, you know, as far as, you know, we were talking about this before as well, you know, when people are aging, it's creating a different atmosphere now, because a lot of times Medicare and these different things will not cover things such as long-term care if you need help in your home. So what's happening is, you know, your mom or dad may come in and live with you, and that creates a different, you know, situation. So, you know, a lot of the products out there now, long-term care is what I would recommend looking into long-term care. As far as something that's short that you should look into, not short, but what was the word that you just used just now? The smaller things? The smaller events. The seemingly
insignificant events, but they'll have a big impact on your life.
I think, you know, changes in health, you know, which a lot of people are not thinking at that point in time, hey, what's going to be our long-term plan? Do we need long-term care? You know, what's going to be the cost of, you know, medical insurance and these things as my parents age or as I age? So some of the smaller things, maybe you're getting a teen driver when we're talking about auto insurance. Again, that kind of sounds like a big thing, but you know, now you have more of a liability issue now, because now your younger son, younger daughter is driving, and they don't have as much experience. Now you may not think that it's a big significant, but in the grand scheme of things, that's a greater liability risk there. So I would say health. I don't know about anything else that's really a smaller insignificant type of change. Can you think of anything? Because I
Well,
can't.
I was thinking of things that, like you just said, like health or being able to anticipate events that maybe, you don't see coming. For instance, you said the thing about a teenage driver. It sounds a little bit morbid. They used to sell the Gerber plans, through the television. But the reality is, a funeral's very, very expensive.
Right.
And it doesn't cost a lot to put a policy on a child.
Right.
To cover. I mean, it's bad enough if, God forbid, anything ever happened. Having to depend on crowdsourcing, to take care of your family in the event that a child passes, is horrible. And we were just talking about a car accident earlier, that people die all the time, and you don't want to be morbid, but you want to be wise.
Yeah.
So for a few pennies, you can add on many times on your regular policy, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
The other thing you and I talked about, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about, is, one of the things people don't think of is you should probably be looking at your family history. And we just covered Breast Cancer Awareness Month back in the fall, and people don't look forward. If I'm in my 30s, okay, but there's a big history of dementia or cancer or Parkinson's or something along those lines, that I might want to buy a long-term term policy or some sort of long-term insurance because I may not be able to get it when I'm 45.
Yeah.
It's hard to get life insurance, when you got cancer. I would imagine pretty much impossible.
Yeah. Well, when I talk to a lot of people when they're younger, they don't think about, that their health can change. And when I talk to people, in their 30s,
you're invincible.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are thinking that. So, I would recommend anybody, depending on their situation, to look more into the permanent policies. I know we were talking before about whole life policies, but there's some other policies out there, such as index universal life policies. Universal life policies can also create the same type of permanent policy, but maybe at a reduced cost. The term policies, as you mentioned, as we get older, we age, and our health starts to change. The life insurance companies also rate you at the age that you're attained. So life insurance at 45, as you mentioned, or 50 is going to be a lot more expensive than maybe at 30. And then it gives the policy some time when you get it younger, to, if you get a cash building policy, to really build some significant cash value depending on the type of product that you take.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how life insurance companies, love selling that 20-year
term
policy, 20-year term to somebody who's
30.
25 or 30, because they know that sucker's going to expire when they're 50, and they may have picked up some bad habits. They put on, even if they haven't picked up bad habits, they put on some weight. Right. They're a whole lot older. That next round is going to cost them more money. And people can get 30 and 40-year term. I mean, it costs a little bit more, but they can get it. And over the course of the puts, it's nice to know you have it. And it's there. And if you're young, a term policy can be the right fit, because it covers you for smaller dollars. And I think the important thing is that people need to understand is they should be looking at their goals. We look at our goals January of every year, and sometimes our goals change. And I think that if we look at our goals and our goals are changing, we should be re-examining all of our insurance policies, our whole financial situation. If my goals increase or change, or I've achieved goals, it might be time to make some other adjustments.
Yeah, well, good point that you just talked about just now as well, as far as the term is concerned, because let's say you did get a 20-year term. It may not be a bad idea, because a lot of these term policies that have a convertibility clause in there. So let's just say you get a 20-year term, you're 30 years old, something happens drastic in your life, you get a heart attack or you get diabetes, something like that happens. Majority of these policies will have a guaranteed convertibility right, meaning that you can convert your policy to a permanent policy without having any underwriting, without going through any underwriting. And that's a huge, huge advantage point. So the term policy may not be bad, and what I've been doing is telling people, hey, even if you have a term, you can look at converting it. Now, more so, especially if they've developed some type of health issue, as you mentioned, the weight gain, the attained age, and different health things that may come up. So, there is an advantage sometimes, what I'm saying, to get the 20-year term that you're talking about. If you do decide and still have the need for the insurance, you can convert it without any underwriting.
I know that I was shocked when I tried to get some insurance a bit ago, and when the underwriting came back, it turned out that my weight was going to cost me more than the fact that I had been a smoker for 20 years.
It's possible.
And I was like shocked at that, that the smoking was not near as expensive as the fact that I was overweight. It's really funny, and I can't stress this enough to people. My wife and I were talking recently about how she felt when her mom passed a few years ago, and how she felt hoping that they could find that one last policy, because the children were going to have to reach into their pockets just to cover the cost of saying goodbye, of the funeral, and that. So having a policy is a good idea at any age, because that can be a relief to the family. You really want to leave a legacy to the family. The fact that, and it's not to make anybody rich. I mean, we call it life insurance. It's death insurance, but to allow your family that comfort to know in the midst of that grief that's one thing they're not worrying about. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And just a last touch on that point, there's a situation that I see all the time where people will open up these GoFundMe accounts and, asking, hey, we can't afford the funeral, we can't afford the mortgage, we can't afford this, we can't afford that, because it's so unexpected. And my heart really goes out to those people. I really feel that, that we should help them with the GoFundMe account, but they shouldn't have to do that if they were to look into getting a life insurance contract. And 9 times out of 10, it's not as expensive as most people think it is, especially when you're younger, as you're starting your family and kind of growing from there. So it's definitely a good idea. Yeah.
And it's I'm really glad you brought that up, because so many of those GoFundMe accounts get scammed. And if you've left some insurance, your family has the freedom to say, hey, we're taken care of. This is a scam. Don't donate to any of it. Look, we're going to hear from our family of sponsors. Heavy subject, but it needs to be dealt with. This is sort of our light fare, but we need to deal with these things if we want to protect the ones we love and get to the places we want to go. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the changes in flood insurance, how it's affecting the real estate market, and what we can expect for the future. We're going to hear from the family of sponsors, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Hello, my name is Michael Singh with Singh Insurance and Financial Services. Our goal is to build trust based on a clear understanding of how your insurance policy protects you, your family, and even your business. When was the last time you took a good hard look at your insurance coverage? Would you be open to the possibility of reviewing your policy with me? One review of your policy can save you valuable time and money. Call me today to set up a review of what may be available to you.
Are you tired of having drugs or alcohol ruin your life? Do you need to get off pain pills but still maintain pain relief? My office in Tavares has programs to help you. While not covered by insurance, program fees are affordable. My name is Alan Zupkin. I'm board certified and have helped thousands of patients achieve these goals. Please call me for further information.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. Welcome back, and we're once again joined by Michael Singh of Singh Insurance and Financial Services. Just finished talking about some of the reasons we should examine our policies, and Mike and I were talking earlier. A big thing in the real estate market back in 2012 was when the Congress decided to to stop funding the NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program.
Right.
And thankfully they changed their mind because they realized what was happening. I was telling him I had customers who were trying to buy a house, and then the flood insurance was going to be more than the mortgage payment was going to be, and so the deal didn't happen. It was really kind of a crunch on the market, and there are some changes coming. So it's been a few years, and there's more of a private market that's been created. Talk to us a little bit about some of what you see in flood insurance. How you think it'll affect the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have the NFIP, which you were talking about before, which is the National Flood Insurance Program. So through the National Flood Insurance Program, doesn't matter where you get the policy from, it's going to be the same premium because it's gone directly through the National Flood Insurance Program.
Now, tell us, is the NFIP a government agency? Is it a private entity?
It's a federal agency, really.
It's a federal agency.
Yeah.
It's kind of like HUD or FHA, FEMA, something like that.
Absolutely. So, and again, that was working for a little while, but then what was happening is that the market was underfunded, meaning that there wasn't a lot of premium, that it wasn't working. There wasn't a lot of people purchasing the flood insurance, and they didn't really have enough data. When we had a lot of these storms hit, there was inside 100 miles inland where people were getting flooded, where before they were saying, hey, you're in an X zone, which is a preferred zone, there's no flooding here, but they say 20 to 30% of the floods happen in this zone. So there was a lot of issues that's happening there. So what people can do, if your home gets flooded, you can go take a loan from the government, but the problem with you have to get approved, and it's like a mortgage. You take it out for X period of time. You're paying interest. That puts you back.
Yeah, it's not free money. You're borrowing it. Yeah.
Right. So so the options that you have if you need flood insurance is first, we have to determine what type of zone that you're in, and that can be a wide range of different conversations, which we won't talk about today. But specifically back to the options that we have the NFIP. We also have these companies that are now offering what's called a flood endorsement onto their homeowner's policy. So you can buy a homeowner's policy where the homeowner's company will actually give you what's called a flood endorsement. So that's one option. Then you also have another
So that
option.
works like flood insurance?
It works. It's not directly through the NFIP. So what it is, it's the private insurance carriers now saying, hey, we're going to give you flood, and we're going to put it on as an endorsement onto our regular homeowner's policy. So you're going to start to see some of those things start to pop up in the marketplace. Then you also have these private insurance carriers that will also write a standalone flood policy. And depending on how they're doing it, the premiums can differ from a wide range of, when you start looking at NFIP, when you start looking at the flood endorsement, when you also start looking at the private flood insurance. So it's, as a broker, I can take a look at all of those options that we were talking about before. I ran into a situation where I had a property, and it was an FHA loan. But if you have an FHA loan, you have to go through the NFIP for the flood insurance. In other words, that's the only option that I have. So the premium ended up being over $3,000 through the NFIP.
$3,000 a year.
It was actually $3,300 for the year. I was able to find a private flood insurer that'll insure it for it was $700, but I couldn't use the $700. I had to use the $3,300 because per FHA guidelines, it had to go through NFIP. So things of that. I hope that changes a little bit as the shift is going to be coming from NFIP to either the flood endorsement or the private flood market. There's also some advantages and disadvantages of the two. I don't know if you want me to get into it.
Sure.
Now.
Tell us. I mean, the whole point 12 years ago of kicking the can down the road was because the government had spent no time encouraging the creation of a private market. They were just, one day they were going to close the door, right? And so talk to us about some of the advantages and disadvantages you go into NHIP, because this is important, because every 5-10 years, FEMA rewrites those flood zones. They redraw the zones.
You actually hit it right on the head, Joe. So basically, if I have an NFIP policy, so if you're in an X zone, that's the best zone you could be. They break up the flood zones into different zones. A zone, V zone, AE zone, X zone. X zone happens to be a preferred zone. So let's say Joe buys a property. He's in an X zone. He has an NFIP policy, so he has the best rate that he can get for flood insurance. 2 years later, they remap the whole zone. Now Joe's in an AE zone. An AE zone, after you get the certificate, now the premium could be $2,500. But now Joe because he had the NFIP, he's grandfathered into the X zone pricing. But let's say Joe didn't take that NFIP policy at the X zone. Now Joe does a refinance. Now when we're doing the flood policy, now we're finding out he's in an AE zone. Joe's going to be paying the higher amount of insurance if he didn't have the initial NFIP policy. That also stands true if you get the flood endorsement or if you get the private flood carrier. So if you go to the private flood carrier or the flood endorsement, you're also not grandfathered in. So, there's two ways to look at it.
So if you take the government program, the advantage is you might pay a little more, but you're grandfathered in if it changes.
If it's right.
So what is the advantage to the private one?
The advantage of the way how the companies value the different things. For example, we had the conversation between actual cash value and replacement cost. We also have a co-insurance clause when we talk about NFIP, where all of those things can be eliminated on the private flood market. So instead of depreciating things in the private flood market, they may replace it for what you paid for it on replacement costs. They may not have a co-insurance clause, which NFIP they may have a 20% co-insurance clause. So there's different advantages there. But the main thing is the grandfathering too. So there's some good, there's some bad, really all depending on what the whole overall situation is.
Again, it sounds very complicated. It's why somebody needs somebody like you to weigh in on this. And I want to encourage people, if you own a home or if you even want to own a home someday, things like this are important to keep an eye on and to talk to your people in Tallahassee. I know that Florida, and even your federal congressmen, your senators and your representatives, because in Florida we pay 80% of the flood insurance premiums, at least in the NFIP. We pay 80% of the flood insurance premiums, but we only take out 20% of the benefits. Okay, most of the benefits go to the interior. The greatest bulk of payouts go to the interior along the large rivers like the Mississippi and things like that, the Ohio River. So it's important to know, because you could buy a house and you're not in that flood zone. They redraw the map. You don't have to get flood insurance to keep your mortgage. But when you go to sell your house, that next guy is going to need flood insurance. And that might make your house hard to sell.
Well, good point that you brought up. So if the person that's buying the home, if the previous owner also has an NFIP policy, I can use that as long as it's an active policy. I can also grandfather in the new home buyer as well. Again, there's no advantage for the existing homeowner, or there could be, because now the new homeowner is saying, hey, we need flood, but now, hey, I have this flood policy and it's not going to be $2,500, and maybe it's only going to be $400 a year. So that's a great advantage.
Look, there's a complicated subject. We could go on for days and days and days. I know that Mike does, and I as a realtor go on to these subjects. We go to seminars that are hours long. If you want more information about that, you can reach out to either one of us. As a matter of fact, we're going to bring up Singh Insurance and Financial Services website here. Mike, walk us through this real quick. It's right there.
The website?
Yeah.
Well, this is the homepage here. As a matter of fact, if you want to get some information about any of the products that we talked about, you can just click on these tabs here that you see: commercial, motorcycle. There's a flood tab there. There's a boat tab. Gives you a couple pieces of information there, but also I can, if you give me a call, I can run what's called a flood zone determination on the property, and I can let you know exactly what flood zone you're in and what options you have. Yeah.
Just to be full disclosure, Mike cannot issue an elevation certificate. That needs to be issued by an authorized government agency.
Yeah.
If you want to know how to get one of those, reach out to me. I will direct you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. And this is your Facebook page?
This is the Facebook page, yes.
I see that you shared your interview here.
Yeah, just a couple different marketing pieces here, the videos.
And there's full way to get in touch with you there. Look, if you have any questions about insurance, and this really is the time, set aside some time next couple of weeks to sit down with Mike. You can go into his office. Do you do visits in the home as well?
I do, if it's more convenient.
If it's more convenient, he'll go out to the home. So schedule some time. Give him a call. Give him an idea of what you have. He can help you out and really give you an idea. Look, Mike is one of the reasons Mike is one of our family of sponsors is he's honest enough that if your stuff is working for you, he's not one of these guys that's gonna, talk you out of what you got. He just wants to help you, to be your advisor and to help you, get to where you want to go. See if what you have is working for you, and if it isn't, maybe you need some additional coverage. Maybe you can drop a little. I don't know. You got to talk to him to find that out. So thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me.
Great
Appreciate
show.
it. Thank you.
Mike's always so laid back. Mike, you got to bring your excitement level down, man. I don't know. We're going to pull you off the ceiling next time. This really is him excited. By the way, I'd hate to see him depressed. Anyways, look, if you guys know somebody that should be a guest on Joe Knows South Lake, please reach out to me. The information is on the screen. If you know somebody or if you have a business and you sell to people who live in South Lake County, you need to be branding your business here on South Lake TV. If you're not, you're missing the boat. And I'm going to tell you, one day this is going to be a wave. You don't want to be riding the back side of it. You want to be riding the front side of it. So come on board and ride the wave with Joe. Yeah, that's a little cheesy. Okay, shameless plug over. There is greatness inside you. And as Mike has showed us, as he is using his greatness to bring out the greatness in others, I encourage you, use your greatness to bring out the greatness in somebody else. Today, do an unexpected act of kindness. Touch somebody else's life. And there so doing, you may change the world. Love to have you. I will see you tomorrow, and I love you. Bye-bye. My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe Knows South Lake. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors: